I was 21 the summer it happened, interning at a logistics firm wedged between abandoned warehouses near the river. The job was dull but respectable. Databases, inventory logs, fluorescent lights humming overhead. There were 8 interns total, packed into low-walled cubicles that made it impossible to forget you were being watched. Most of them were fine, friendly enough. One guy, Marcus, treated every email like a final exam. But the one who stood out was Nathan. Nathan didn't look threatening. He was tall and hollow-cheeked, with colorless eyes and hair that hung in greasy strands around his face. What unsettled me was how deliberately wrong he acted. Every afternoon, without fail, his head would rise slowly over my cubicle wall, like something surfacing from deep water. He'd smile, too wide, too still, and speak in a low, playful whisper that didn't match his blank eyes. "Still breathing, Eli?" he'd ask. Or, "Counting the hours? Or are the hours counting you?" I laughed it off at first. Everyone else did. They thought he was performing, being edgy. But he only did it to me. Sometimes he wouldn't speak at all, just stare, smiling, for minutes. I'd feel his gaze even when I didn't look up. 6 weeks in, I got a call at home from an unknown number. I answered, and after a long silence, Nathan spoke. "Locks are just suggestions," he said softly. Then he laughed, sharp, breathless, and hung up. I never gave him my number. The following Monday, his cubicle was empty. Our supervisor told me Nathan had been fired Friday afternoon and escorted out. When I mentioned the call, his face tightened. He told me not to worry. For a while, nothing happened. Then, one night around 3 a.m., my smoke alarm chirped once and died. Annoyed, I got out of bed and looked down the hallway. Nathan was standing there. He wasn't smiling. He tilted his head, eyes gleaming in the dark. "You should have answered the door," he whispered, from inside my house. I don't remember running. I don't remember screaming. I remember the sound he made when I locked myself in the bathroom. A slow, delighted laugh right outside the door. The police never found him. No signs of forced entry. No fingerprints but mine. I moved, changed jobs, changed numbers. Last week, at my new office, I sat down at my desk. As my computer booted up, a chat window opened on its own. "Still breathing, Eli?" I was 16 when it started, working evenings at a small hardware store in a sleepy Maine town, where the biggest scandal was a broken traffic light. It was my first job, and at first, I loved it. The work was repetitive but easy, stocking shelves, running the register, talking with coworkers during slow hours when the aisles were empty and the radio hummed softly above us. Most of my coworkers were around my age, joking to pass the time. One of them, though, stood apart. His name was Caleb. He was 23, worked mostly in the back organizing inventory, and rarely joined conversations. He wasn't rude, just quiet, with a habit of staring a little too long before looking away. I barely noticed him at first. That changed when he added me on social media. At the beginning, his messages were innocent, asking about shifts, complaining about customers, sending memes. Over time, the questions became personal. What time did I get home? Did I walk or drive? What shows did I like? When I didn't respond, he'd message again hours later. Always polite, always persistent. One night, while restocking paint cans, Caleb casually asked, "Did you finish that crime show you were watching last night?" I froze. I'd never mentioned it at work. I laughed it off, but my stomach twisted. A few nights later, I heard footsteps outside my bedroom window. Slow, careful. I didn't look. I lay there, heart pounding, until the sound faded. When I finally told Caleb to stop messaging me, his reply came instantly. "Too late. I already know where you sleep." I showed my parents. The police were called. Caleb was fired the next day, and a restraining order followed. Everyone told me it was over. For months, nothing happened. I started to relax. Then, on my 18th birthday, I came home to find a small box on my bed. Inside was a paint-stained glove from the hardware store and a folded note. "You forgot to lock the window." That night, as I sat frozen in my room, my phone buzzed with a new message from an unknown number. "I'm closer than the order allows." The footsteps returned. This time, they didn't walk away. I was 27 when I took a job at a small accounting office tucked behind a gas station in rural Ohio. The building was narrow and windowless on 3 sides, with rows of desks squeezed together under buzzing fluorescent lights. It wasn't a place anyone stayed long, but I needed the money, and the routine helped quiet my mind. Most days were uneventful. Phones rang, printers whined, coffee burned. But one Thursday evening, a severe storm rolled in without much warning. By late afternoon, the sky had turned an unnatural green-gray, and the wind howled hard enough to rattle the glass. Our supervisor sent everyone home early, except me and a newer employee named Grant, who volunteered to help finish reconciling reports. Grant had been there barely a month. He was quiet to the point of discomfort, always standing a little too close, always appearing behind me without a sound. I told myself he was just awkward. By 6 p.m., rain hammered the roof like fists. Thunder shook the walls. The power flickered once, twice, then went out completely. Emergency lights glowed dim red, casting long shadows between the desks. I suggested we leave. Grant stood up and calmly locked the front door. "Roads aren't safe," he said, his voice flat. "Better to wait." Something in my chest tightened. I tried calling my sister. No signal. The office phone was dead. When I turned back around, Grant was gone. I headed for the back exit and found it bolted shut with a chain I'd never seen before. That's when I heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate, echoing through the hallway. "Don't hide," Grant called softly. "I hate when people hide." I slipped into the copy room and shut the door, pressing my hand over my mouth to silence my breathing. His footsteps stopped just outside. I saw his shadow pass beneath the door, lingering. Then the lights went out entirely. Minutes passed. Maybe longer. A deafening crash of thunder shook the building, and suddenly cold rain splashed my feet. The front windows had shattered inward. I ran. I didn't think. I sprinted through broken glass and rain straight to my car. As I drove away, I glanced in the mirror. Grant was standing in the doorway, soaking wet, smiling. The police never found him. His car was still parked behind the building, engine cold. His apartment was empty, as if he'd never lived there. 2 years later, I started a new job in a different city. On my first day, I found a sticky note on my desk, written in neat, familiar handwriting. "Glad you didn't hide forever."